The Chamber of Industry and Commerce will be taking more of a leading role in assisting the private sector here, according to the Executive Director of the Chamber, Tony Regisford. Speaking at a cocktail party hosted by the Chamber last evening, Regisford says they will be working to assist in areas such as training in customer service, ICT, and assistance at the Customs Department. Recently, Leader of the Opposition, Arnim Eustace, indicated that he was informed that as many as 42 businessmen had written to the Customs and Excise Department complaining about the practices of some customs officers disregarding their valid invoices when bringing goods into the country.
Seem to be not pleased with the way things move through customs. So, that is something that we recognize. And it is I'm just bringing that as an example, okay? And that is something the Chamber would like to play a part in ensuring that we can smooth waters and we can have a win-win situation. So we're not going to be adversarial in what we do, but we would present a cogent argument in terms of how things need to be. So advocacy is very important, but please, I urge the members of the Chamber not to look at us as an adversarial organization. That is not what we're here for.
Following the recent handing over of 3 new houses by the government to flood victims of the Hope, Vermont area, the residents are now anxiously awaiting their new bridge compliments the government and people of Ecuador. Recently, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves announced pledged assistance from Ecuador in the sum of $4.2 million for the building of 4 bridges across the country. And Minister of Transport and Works Julian Francis says these bridges include one in Hope.
And in fact, when Hope is finished, it is going to be oriented differently. It is going to be the longest bridge in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, this Hope Bridge. We are cutting across the 90-degree angles and putting them like 40, 35 straight across. So from just outside Bad Boy Shop to just in front of James Clark House, the bridge will be running in that orientation. And this is going to be about 72 feet.
24 meters.
24 meters and 8 meters wide. So it is going to be a massive bridge of concrete. Beside that, the Ecuadorians are giving us 3 Bailey's bridges. One for Cacata, that is north on the Fichus River, Sharps Chateaubriand, and Plan Chateaubriand. They are putting in those 3 bridges.
Francis also notes that the government has spent a significant sum since the Christmas disaster and that Bragza should be commended for its work.
We have cleaned all the rivers on the leeward side. There's still some in Cumberland to be done, but we have one of the largest excavators in the Cumberland River, which belongs to Llewellyn, but he has suffered some mechanical damage. In fact, things were so heavy and bad inside there, another excavator turned over and got smashed because of the size and of the job and the boulders that we had to deal with down there. That's a Trinidadian who had volunteered to lend us, eventually rent us, his equipment.
Principal of the Girls High School, Andrea Bowman, has refuted suggestions that students are handpicked as candidates to sit various CSEC examinations. English A and mathematics were 2 of the subjects singled out, but Bowman says this is not so, and that those 2 subjects were part of a mandatory list of courses for students at the GHS.
There have been these whispers around that we select students to send for English and math, and we select, and all of our girls is compulsory. All of our girls must do English and math. Okay, so 145 girls wrote English A, and we have, as I said, 97.2%. 145 of our girls wrote math, and we have 97.97%.
Dr. Halima Dishong has called for stiffer legislation regarding cases of statutory rape and for social change for persons inclined to report instances of rape. Dishong made this call while delivering the lecture at the University of the West Indies Open Campus on Thursday, entitled The Coloniality of Everyday Violence.
cases of the sexual exploitation of children. And when I was looking at the figures of statutory rape, there are serious cause for alarm. From talking to officers who come into contact with children who have been raped, I think we need to, in some ways, strengthen not only our laws, legislation around statutory rape and other forms of rape, but there needs to be a change in the social response to persons who report rape and other forms of sexual exploitation. And as communities, we also need to be very vigilant and very clear about the boundaries around children and our responsibility to protect children as it relates to sexual violence.
The Sandy Bay Community Response Team says the time has come for the Litter Act to be fully enforced. The group, in a news release, says the issue of illegal dumping continues to plague the Sandy Bay community and steps must be taken now to seriously address the problem. The release explains that 5 weeks of activities will be undertaken from August 15th to September 21st, geared at sensitizing the residents of the legal implications and penalties of illegal dumping and littering. The Sandy Bay residents are calling on the relevant authorities and agencies to adopt a new approach to combat the issue of littering.